Everybody, I turned the air conditioning on because it sucks so bad out here. LA is in a heat wave, as I'm sure you've read about. This shirt is a terrible idea, and let's get it started. LA is in a heat wave, which means good-looking people are waltzing around with the least amount of clothing on, especially the good-looking guys, cut-up boys around the neighborhood. They have all the muscles that you would draw, and what they do is they take their shirts off. But in my mind, I think they knew that they were going to take their shirts off before they were out trouncing about. And they take their shirts off, and they have all the muscles are present, and they look like someone holding cobblestones. They look like a smaller guy trying to balance cobblestones on his way to maybe build a revolutionary street or a hill in Pittsburgh. They have sunglasses always, so their eyes are protected, and then no shirt, glistening, and then the shirt hanging out of the shorts, and they look like a flag football player. And then from here down, these are obviously shorts, so their calves and shins are exposed to the elements, and tip-top footwear. And then they look like, do you have a beach by you? And do you have that old guy, always an old guy, who goes around and he collects all the most, like, the well-weathered stones that are perfectly round, and he carries them to a designated area, and then he stacks them up in seemingly an impossible. Do you have that guy? That's what these guys look like. Also, they're usually with a girl with a romper, and her bangs are stuck to her head like this, and the romper is, it's too hot. Wear it if you want, but it's too hot to wear it. And I think that you know that. I've been watching The Crown a lot with my wife, and that's a terrific show. It's a show on Netflix. I think there are 2 seasons, and it's about Queen Elizabeth, and it's a reenactment of her life, and it's very dramatic. It's very interesting, and it's the most British thing that I've ever seen. And one time, I got flown out to England, and I was there for 2 days, and it was raining, and I found a pub in the rain, and I ordered a pint and fish and chips. And The Crown is still the most British thing I've ever seen in my entire life. With that guy, Matt Smith, who looks like he's being force-fed lemons. But he's so good. And they're all very passive-aggressive. I don't think I've seen anyone smile in 4 episodes. Everyone is always very upset, and they're always obsessed with power. Power. That's power. Who has the power? And ranking. And so forth. And what about when her Queen Elizabeth's sister hooked up with the photographer? Spoiler alert, but it happened in real life, so not really. Know your history. And then he was like, hop on the back of my motorbike. Do you like motorbikes? Hope you have a helmet. Fasten the helmet beneath thine chin. Hop on the back of my motorbike and feel the power. Oh, so they're always yelling at kids? You got to yell at royal kids to get them to stand up nice and straight. And it's very British. I hope that on season 3, somebody's happy for a second. Back on July 4th, you remember that? At Independence Day. And a happy one to you and yours. Joey Chestnut, who is known primarily for eating hot dogs, did that again. It was the Nathan's hot dog, most American possible thing you could do. on the most American day possible, and he is famous for eating too many hot dogs faster than anyone else could eat too many hot dogs. And he set a world record at 74. He ate 74 hot dogs, which is too many. Like that. And I have so many questions about him. I have so many questions about Joey Chestnut and how he is. How are you? That's the first thing I would ask him. If he came into this room right now, I'd be like, I would sit him down and I would look at him in the eyes and be, Joey, how are you? Are you okay? And then I would just listen to his answer for, it could be as short or as long as possible. Because he set the world record again for it's not the first time that he's done that because he wins every year. So presumably he's setting new world records every year. And I want to see a picture of his insides. And I want to know how his insides are different. You know, remember the guy in the late 80s who wore that, I think his name was Mr. Body or something like that, and he wore that spandex suit, but there were organs and muscles airbrushed on it. I want to see the Joey Chestnut version, and I want to see how this area might be different from others, because you have to train for that. You're a competitive eater. You're doing things with muscles that other people don't have. Does he have an extra stomach? Secondary stomach? Are you allowed to surgically enhance your food bag? Is there a Netflix documentary on Joey Chestnut? It would be a shame if Rachel Dolezal got a Netflix documentary and Joey Chestnut has not, because I have questions. Also, do you think he's ever eaten a hot dog, on his own volition? You think he's ever at a baseball game and he's like, yeah, I'll take one hot dog? I would never. I'd be done. I went to a thrift store the other day. I was bored. I thought I'd look around. All thrift stores smell like the same, like an attic or a basement. They all have the same smell, no matter what. A thrift store is a great place to go to if you don't have time to stretch out the necks of your own t-shirts and you want to smell like a basement. There's no better place. I've gotten things from thrift stores before, especially flannels are good. It's a good place to find cheap flannels. Most of their clothes are stretched out, and they're brands that don't exist anymore, like Bomb Equipment and Body Glove and Structure Pants. But it freaks me out because depending on how vintage those clothes are, it's almost guaranteed that a dead person has masturbated in what you bought. And that sounds ridiculous, right? Oh, Mike, what a zany thing to say. You're taking it to the extreme. But I don't think so. I think that's a very strange but realistic thing to think about. That if you buy a Bob Marley t-shirt or like a Hall & Oates tour, mid-90s, Daryl Hall, 1994. Somebody got groped in that t-shirt for sure. Consensual groping. Somebody was at a concert in the back and got second based over the top of that t-shirt. Or jeans. If you buy old jeans from the thrift store, people have dry humped in those jeans for sure. And that's ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. Oh, why is your mind even going there? Because some of us are wired a bit differently. I made up a game on an earlier episode of Mike in the Morning that was you try to say Kentucky Derby horse names without laughing. And somebody said that firework names were just as good. 26 most glorious firework names from Chicago Now, 2014. This one's called Red, White, and Boom. Okay. Wolfpack Finale Spectacle. This is an advertisement. It says dine differently, and I think they're on a boat. Dragon's Tears. Dragon Tears. Dragon's Tears Fountain. That's Dragons apostrophe S. Tears Fountain. This one says Mega Assortment. Grounds for Divorce. And on one side there's an angry cartoon wife, and on the other side it's man with child. Grounds for Divorce is... That one got me. Double Breaks, Phantom Strike, The Pulverizer. This one says Class Act. It's dressed up in a little tuxedo as well. This one says Iwo Jima. That's got to be disrespectful, right? That's like the wiffle ball equivalent of war. Also, it's $330. Attitude adjustment. If you don't like America, you can come over to my house and I'll light these off. We'll see how you feel about us then. Let me tell you something. You don't stand for our American justice and American values. We'll come over to my house. We'll have a nice barbecue. You invite the kids over. They can swim around in the above ground pool, and I'll set off the attitude adjustment. We'll talk about how you feel about this great country tis of thee after then. Purple Mountains Magistrate. Going back to the crown and the amber weighs a grain, what have you. Do you have to get a second opinion when you put #1 in the world in the top corner of your product, of any product? Does anyone else have to sign off on that? It could be the #1 sword-shaped firework in the world. You know what I'm talking about? There's no, where's the bar? This next one is called Where's the Bar? This one says hold on your ass. Around the Clock. This one's a clock, and it's shaped like a clock. This one says Sexy Rider. Maybe it's romantic. Maybe 4th of July is also your anniversary, and you know that you're going to have touching sex, and you want to have you want to set the mood. But candles are for the week. So you want to light off a couple sexy riders. Nothing gets her in the mood like a sexy, loud, bang, fire hazard that you could hurt yourself on. Here we have a very timely reference in the Yeah Babies. And if you're not a Yeah Baby fan, you can get the Shagadelic Mojo. Here we have 2 different packages of fireworks that have utilized every secondary catchphrase in the Austin Powers franchise. Ooh, Fortress Stronghold, when you're lighting fireworks off at a castle. Here come the judge, of course. Can't be messed with. You thought those last ones were all right. Well, here come the judge. This one says Wizard Oz. That's actually funny. Wizard of Oz, but Oz is spelled A-H-H-H-S. Like, like that. But, of course, being a play off of the magical wizard. 8-second ride. These are rodeo themed. Get on top. I'll light this up. You get on top of it. You see how long you last. In the comments below, what could you stay on top of longer with your ass? So welcome back. This is how we end these. This is called Old Notebook. I have years of old notebooks. And some are stand-up, some are video ideas, and I read them, and that's it. Hopefully we get some enjoyment out of them. I remember very little. I've always loved Captain Planet. Captain Planet was a superhero from the 90s who cleaned up the earth with the help of all the adopted kids from the neighborhood. Each kid had a magical ring representing wind, water, fire, heart, and hugs, or some bullshit like that. So when evildoers would start polluting the earth, these kids would meet up at a park at an agreed upon time. And with their powers combined, they would summon Captain Planet. You remember? Who, if memory serves me correctly, has never even thrown a punch. He just directs, kind of bad weather in your specific direction. If he was really pissed, the sky would turn black and the earth would open up and the bad guys would never be heard from again. I wonder if the punishment always fit the crime. Like if I toss a Hidden Valley granola bar wrapper out of my window on the highway on the way home, would he make it drizzle on me for the remainder of the ride? Or if I go outside to relax, maybe it'll be like a little too bright to read or something like that. I give that one a C+ as far as overall funniness, and an A- in trying too hard. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to remind you that the Friends and Friends Crowd Work show is in West Hollywood at the Open Space Theater, 8 o'clock on July 21st. We got some great people. Me, Holly Annabelle Brown, William Haynes, Elliot Morgan, Mia Pinchot, Sean Joshi, Becky Robinson, others. I feel great. Strings out, things out. You know what I mean? I'm going to go hang out with some friends. This is part of the amount of water that I drank today. In the camera, it doesn't look that, it doesn't look that impressive here, but I drank this much water. Water is awesome, and it tastes real good, and it's very refreshing. I'm sure I don't have to tell you. I'm sure that you've had it at some point. But when it's too much, it just feels like something you're putting in you. Like you're stacking books on a shelf. Not a relatable feeling. Okay, I'll see you on Friday. I wrote a 7-page paper on Salute Your Shorts.